problem with Epic Games has put new safeguards in place to prevent unintended purchases. Bobby Allen, NPR News.
When is someone to whom to serve on the federal bench? That is the question being asked in Washington. 96 federal appeals court judges been barred from hearing cases for a year. The judicial panel says she refused to undergo medical fitness testing. The probably noted says she remains physically and mentally fit to decide not to file cases for her author. The judges in some cases against one another. I'm Jack Spear at TR News.
Support for NPR comes from the Public Welfare Foundation, committed to advancing a transformative approach to justice that is community-led, restorative, and racially just. Learn more at publicwelfare.org and the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation at macfound.org.
Come on, up. You can walk, you can get by there. Come on. Oh. Come on. Come on. Here. Wanna play with that? Yeah? Come on, come on. Come on. You can't eat that. Get off the books. It's a lot better, right? I'm gonna fill it up. I'm gonna fill it back up, all right? I'm gonna turn it off, let it cool off. Nice and clammy, right? Fill it up. It'll be all right. Let me do this real quick. Whew, that's hot. Hey, all right? Don't do that. All right. Come on, man. You got like 8 more bottles, don't worry. Gotta make some more charcoal, all right? Gotta make some more activated charcoal. Hey, go play. Wanna play with this before I throw it away? Yeah. Come. Get it, Papa. Get it, Papa. Yeah. Now we're gonna turn it on before we go to bed, all right? I'm gonna leave it off right now. It's humid in here. All right. You all right? You all right? What are you doing? Come here, Ping. Fat head here. Hey, what's going on, everybody? All right, let's get this read in. Good evening. Yeah, I still went out. I had to go out. I had to go down to the range and talk to a couple people. Then I had to go over to the golf course. I had to park my truck at the car dealership. Walk all the way across the highway and have a conversation with people. So, let's go ahead. I want to hit you with a little bit of the science of the sacred secretion, the chemical, physiological, and astronomical explanation of internal alchemy by Victoria Lalo. Okay. Chama, what's going on? What's going on? Blessings. Let's go up to the top. Rhonda, what's going on, beloved? Mikey Hill, beloved. Yes, sir. Oh, what's going on, beloved? Chama, what's going on, beloved? Got you, brother. It's good to see you guys. All right, so last time we read this, we left off it here when we were talking about this secretion that then travels down the spine, the 33rd vertebrae, you know, and then we talked about the fact that Jesus was 3 years old when crucified. Okay, does that mean I didn't ask this? Does that mean the killing off of the chrism, the pineal, the calcification? Well, it's up to us to calcify it, whether it is meaning to that, which it pretty much is, or it's not. So let's get into the next part. All right, because when we left off, we were talking about the CSF, all right, Christ's crucifixion, right? The physical activity and other factors such as diet and meditation to cleanse it, which most people won't subjugate themselves to, because we have this moment, we have a declaration to correct ourselves, and then all of a sudden, because of how our neurons are fighting from how our neurons are firing, we have this moment when we want to go right back to eating the sugars and all the chemicals in it. Now, I shared with y'all most chocolate desserts have the shellac, which comes from the beetle, kind of like the dung from it. Okay, they said the dung. I watched a video on it a couple of years ago, right? And it's the whole damn beetle. That's nasty as fuck. And it's made in Hindustan. And you really don't want to be eating that stuff. And it's the same stuff in the varnish and the shellac. You know what I'm saying? When you want to put that fine little varnish. Yes. It doesn't have to be in chocolate. You can actually eat the cocoa pods, the seeds themselves. Now, it's a bittersweet, but it's better than eating the stuff with all that beet sugar, which is no good for your blood pressure, your liver, your spleen, your kidneys, diabetes, and your glands, which are on your kidneys. All right, so remember that. So first, a signal was released from the claustrum. It passed the pineal and pituitary, where charged chemicals were added to the CSF. This mix then traveled down the spine, increasing further in charge and vibration until it reached the end of the spine. Here, most of the fluid's charged chemicals are given up to support the normal functioning of the human body. Now do you see the importance of fasting? And when you take minerals in, branched chain amino acids, not solid proteins and whey peptides, and the worst thing you don't want to, and as somebody asked for, eat, okay, is what's that crap called? I have some. I was going to show it to y'all. All right, I don't use it. I haven't used it in a long time, but I actually asked. Let me go get it. I thought I had it out here. Creatine, but let me show you the one. This is, it's not as good as it sounds. Oh, here we go. We'll play in a minute, Papa. All right? Believe me, I don't want to play right now. I'm reading. Okay, as good as it sounds. And that's the whole thing. We've gotten so used to being commercialized. This is Crazy Muscle 3 creatine, 3-type creatine blend. You don't need this. It's unopened. So this is going back to him. All right, this is unopened. Okay? And I asked him because he knows, I told him where I get my K2 and D3, and he ordered this. He's a skinny guy. And I was like, you don't need that. You need to eat more fruit. And I says, you need to eat it in the morning and in the afternoon, about 3 hours prior to going to bed, and you'll be satisfied. The elation will be taken care of. So he said, I said, no, I'm gonna give it back. You can send it back for the money or whatever you got to do. I don't want it. So 3 types of creatine blend. This ain't nothing but poison, pure toxin. This will assist your system in slowly shutting down. You don't want to take that. Your body makes protein. It takes the branched chain, the amino acids, the minerals, and all that, and it creates all those things. And with the sun's assistance, increases the polarity of it. It's facts. All right. Eventually, the sacral pump forces this fluid back up the spinal column in a regular rhythmic motion. Remember I told you the day before my day of atonement, or the year I came into this world, and the day after I fast. And I do a lot of headstands and a lot of other things on that day. So it's like a purification. Between the occiput and the sacral pumps, this is where it begins its return journey. Like Christ is ascending, increasing in vibration, okay, back up the spine, and the fluid passes the body's 33 vertebrae. The Christ was 33 when crucified. All right, past the medulla and pons, the brainstem, and vagus nerve system, responsible for communicating with the body's organs, particularly the heart and lungs. The oil is then crucified, which actually means increased in power, by the optic chiasma and the nerves from the eyes that are shaped like a cross. Facts, y'all. They are. Okay? In order to power up its vibration before it enters the lateral ventricle, the tomb, covered by a white sheet known as the septum or the pellucidum, where it sits dormant for 2 to 5 days, hence my 2.5 days of what I do, conserving the energy and increasing its vibration to bring a little bit more of your natural 7.8 to 8 hertz of vibration, of frequency, back in tune with that which is with the natural earth. Even though we know that they're doing this, they've got these things. Any of y'all ever seen the movie Dune where they put those thumpers in the ground? Well, there are a lot of machines that literally pound the ground all over Earth. Oh, you just haven't seen them. They're there, just beating on Earth, messing with the rhythmic harmonic balance. And in the ships in the ocean, those sonobuoy, those buoys and all that stuff, and the ship sonars, that's why you have whales and dolphins and sharks and all that beaching themselves. The acoustics are thrown off, and they lose their even great whales drowning. I would love to see somebody prove me wrong. And then you'll know your enemy. Okay? So anyway, energy, this is where it goes. Consequently, it has no energy left for growth and repair. Oh no, here's the one part. And this is pretty cool. It is this point of the process that we call the preservation stage. During these days of preservation, the chemicals within the fluid are vulnerable to being consumed by the blood and inhibited before reaching their full potential. What's left of the secretion is pumped back up to the center of the brain. Here it rests for 2.5 days, increasing its charge, and scientific observations as well as brain imaging techniques show that brain activity depends on the physiological and behavioral states of a person. For example, if a person feels stressed, then their brain perceives this as an immediate threat without recognizing whether the threat is a tiger or a death. Okay? This activates the fight, flight, freeze response. And when a person is stuck in that state, the brain has to focus its energy on dealing with that immediate threat, and in parentheses, manifesting as constant worry, stomach, butterflies, mood swings, etc. And consequently, it has no energy left for growth and repair. Instead, the brain must increase the production of hormones that will provide the body with a higher chance of immediate survival, such as adrenaline and cortisol. Note, studies show that the higher the levels of cortisol in the body, the lower the levels of melatonin. So you see why they must keep us in a state of fear, a false procurement of an ideology that really doesn't exist. For many people, this threat can loom over for months on end, leaving the body in a state of panic and sickness. Ergo, what you would see in my panic attack was based upon pain, high cortisol levels, less sleep, zero melatonin, that lasted many years. Hence why I had to change. And I keep testing by doing certain things. Like I'll wake up in the morning or the night before and says, I got to see if the diet I have put upon myself is meaningful, the stuff that I'm utilizing is beneficial. And so the next day I will literally go to a place where I can get the best beef and whatever else, and I will consume it. And I know when my body rejects it before I have any kind of anxiety attack or anything, which I haven't had in a long time. The thing is, I have to know. Because see, the doctors are not going to tell you the truth. How many of y'all get blood work and the doctors never suggest because they're greedy and they're not about healing? They have become the big pharma's minions. But anyway, how many of y'all know have them asked you, or had them ask you, or have you asked, or have they stated that they were going to do an allergen test? And those allergen tests will let you know what foods you should not be eating, even if it's very subtle. They don't. They need you sick. As they say, there's no monetary funds available for you being well or healed. And ergo, why people are running around acting so foolish, doing dumb things, especially in the youth, because they believe that they're never going to get old. The sad point is they're getting older faster now. Let's go ahead and read these two articles. And 100 Years of Lynching. My apologies. This is the secret. This is the science of the sacred secretion. Okay. And here we have 100 Years of Lynching. And I believe somebody may have ordered this by Ralph Gisberg. So the first one is listen. New York Times, June 26, 1903. Negroes ask 100 million to return to Africa. Montgomery, Alabama, June 25th. The National Colored Immigration and Commercial Association. The National Colored Immigration and Commercial Association. I want y'all to look that up and look who's behind it. Meeting here in convention. Today adopted a petition to President Roosevelt and the National Congress requesting an appropriation of $100 million to secure transportation of members of their race who desire to settle in Liberia. Wrongs which the colored race was said to suffer from in the United States was cited as the reason for this request. Chicago Record Herald. I want you to hear the nonsense behind this. July 2nd, 1903. One Negro lynch forbidden. Norway, South Carolina. July 1st, Charles Evans, colored, suspected of the murder of John L. Phillips, it was a pale skins that murdered him, was taken from the jail here last night and lynched by an unmasked mob. 4 other Negroes who were confined in the jail were also taken by the mob and beaten into insensibility. Evans was charged with murdering John T. Phillips, a one-armed Confederate soldier. Look up John T. Phillips, a Confederate, one-armed Confederate soldier. What I'm doing by reading this book is correcting many fallacies. Because when our people decided to go to sleep and not fight anymore, it's not that there weren't none fighting. Trust me, there are books based upon those who fought back and overcame lynchings and a number of things. It's just the reality that when you're separated or congregated and they put people to watch over overseers, and their abuse is litigated by the fake court system to be okay. All right? Well, a lot of y'all live in those places, those sectors. We'll just leave it at that. So let's get into Ancient and Modern Britons, Volume 1 by David McRitchie. All right? Brother Kiramio sent me this book. Excellent read. Excellent read. Okay? So we were talking about the Ukrainians and all that kind of stuff, right? Combocephalic, Dolicio, as far as the swarthy hue of Europe, France, Britain, Germany, Scotland, Ireland. Yes, all Negro continents. The probability is that the Ukrainians were a greatly mixed people and that the probability is not a fact. They constituted a meeting ground for those 2 great human families whose qualities they possess in varying degrees. Indeed, so far as nomenclature goes, there is evidence of their hybrid character. There were Kurene Ugri, or black Ugri, as well as white. Now, black Khazars and white Khazars, black Bulgarians and white Bulgarians, all of whom belong to this classification of Ungari Ugri or ogres, even orcs. That's why when people start saying that, Terry Wisdom and those individuals, I'm looking at them like, my goodness, y'all just watch too many damn movies. They don't know what they're saying. But this evidence is so slight as to be little more than a conjecture, since it is not clear whether the terms white and black, as thus used, really bore reference to the complexions of those various races. And besides, if they did so, the fact would suggest many questions which it is convenient to shelve. Questions reflecting upon the ancestry of the Xanthocroi, or fair whites, at present, and chiefly, our purpose is to consider those peoples whose complexions have been pretty well ascertained to be colored. In addition to the black or brown and yellow races already spoken of as prehistoric Europeans, there is a theory that a copper-colored race closely akin to some branches of American Indians once inhabited Europe, or rather the southern parts of Europe and North Nubia, or Africa. Proofs of this are said to be visible in the complexion of the modern Copts, which is reddish, and the Nubians, who are described as of a deep red color, with nothing of the Negro in their profile, and with oval faces. This theory has been started by an Italian archaeologist named Generali, and may be seen at length in the Journal of the Anthropological Institute. Its leading points are thus summarized. In support of the hypothesis of kinship between the red races of Europe and America, generally adduces A, the existence of pyramids in Egypt, America, and Etruria. B, of labyrinths in Egypt, America, and Etruria. C, of the title Children of the Sun, born both by the Incas and the Pharaohs. D, of mummies in Egypt and America, and images of mummies in Etruria. E, of hieroglyphic languages in Egypt and America, F of languages having a similar structure in America, Iberia, and Etruria, Humboldt thought there were affinities between the Basque and Etruscan. G of the Nile in Egypt and a Nile region in Guatemala from the Cordillera of, so I forget how to pronounce this, but it's Conosco. Almost like the old gasoline company, Sunoco, to which this word comes from, to the Pacific. And H of canopies and sacrificial vases in Egypt, Mexico, Yucatan, and Peru, which names similar to the deities they represent, to which they didn't put in North Carolina, Alabama, or Georgia. Yet I, and of the root at ATL, which in its original significance he asserts belongs not to the European, but to the American language. And generally further supports his theory by the assertion that animals of American origin, listen to this, unknown to Nubia or Africa, are to be found among the Egyptian hieroglyphics and in the paintings of sculptures on the vases of monuments of Etruria. He also points, and we know about that, the condor and so on, as you know, the whole slew of them. He also points to evidence of the existence in Italy of races which were neither Aryan nor Semitic, under the various names of Aborigines, Siculi, Liguri, Umbre, etc. And he also suggests that the Phoenicians were of this copper-colored hue. It is perhaps scarcely correct to describe this as a third division of dark-skinned people, for Signor Generelli's red is not very different from Professor Huxley's chocolate brown. Mongols, are you listening and watching, brothers and sisters? Okay, good. I wish y'all would start accepting your true narrative of the Greater Tartary instead of a Republic of Tartary, to which you belong not. The colors described by each of the ancient Egyptians, each. The connection between this last theory and the consideration of ancient Britons becomes apparent when one remembers that not only are these people allied to the Egyptians as being both Australoids, but there is also a legend that the Scots are of Egyptian descent, while of the Phoenician intercourse with Britain, there is no doubt, however, the red color intercourse relation, not sex, color of the Phoenicians seems only a suggestion. As with the Iberians, according to M. de Orbres de Jovainville, some shit like that, this red race of the Italian, excuse my language, antiquary is assumed to have come into Europe out of the sunken island continent of Atlantis, which our grandfather spoke of as the fabled Atlantis, but which the voyage of the Challenger and the study of geology have both proved to be no fable. The point of difference between scientific men now seems to be rather the probable data of they have to share this information. Subsidence of that continent, which it is contended by some must be so remote as to preclude the possibility of establishing a race connection between the two continents in this way. But at any rate, there are several reasons for believing that the unidentified builders of our stone circles, cairns, and dolmens were dark-skinned people, and the races with which they have most similarly are Professor Huxley's Australoids and Negritos. Not only is it asserted by him that there is an actual blood relationship between those two families, and British people of this and past generations, plainly visible in many outward features, but there is also the testimony of similar customs, some of which will be afterward specified. One of these is the practice of tattooing the body, and another is the kindred practices of painting or smearing it with various colors. But the most telling evidence is that afforded by the stone monuments which are found in all the countries which have been inhabited by those races. Tasmania, home of the Negritos, has its stone circles and cairns, and Scotland shows the presence of the same people and the same works. In the Australoid Deccan, there are dolmens and stone circles as in the Australoid Britain and West Europe. And there is within the jungle of one part of Borneo a great area known to the Malaysians as stones, standing stones and others. And many of these are covered with marks resembling the curious picture writings found on scattered stones and rocks in British Guyana and other parts of South America. Now the present inhabitants now know nothing of their origins and believe them to be haunted by spirits, a memory, doubtless, of the time when their builders, a different race, lived among them. These, it may be reasonably presumed, were the Negritos now found in the islands to the southeast. The Negritos, although not identical with the Australoids, are yet said to present an identical with the Australoids, and yet said to present a remarkable approximation to the Australoid type. And the two divisions may logically be held to have been one in the days of the ancient Britons, though since modified by intermixture with other races. God, pretty deep, ain't it? That is pretty. My damn weed. I'm about to blaze up in here, y'all. Pretty damn deep. Back's been giving me some problems. It's a little bit. Another reason why I didn't feel like going shooting. I didn't want to aggravate it. No, I've been fine, but I didn't feel like just laying up in a freezing tub of water and ice today. Took a cold shower this AM. I just didn't feel like it. Remember, if you want to take cold showers, take your multi-B vitamins. It will help you deal with the cold. And also, if you feel like you have an anxiety or depression, this, that, and other, it'll snap you up out of it. Okay? Let's go ahead and get into the next one. Jews and Muslims in British colonial America. And this is by Elizabeth Caldwell Hirschman and Donald N. Yates. Okay? As you know, the books were sent by our brother Kiramio. Now, remember we're at the social historical perspectives. Who's all in here? Hey, DJ, what's going on, beloved? Yeah, Herbo. What's going on, beloved? T. Hines. Oh, what's up? What's up, beloved? What's cracking? Doesn't creatine make you fat if you take it and stop working out? It messes you up, brother. Creatine is the terrible, most worst thing. When I was working out, powerlifting, I used it, I got weak. I was like, what the hell? I was like, what the, no, seriously. I was like, I remember when I moved here, I was going to the gym before I had this drop in my blood pressure because my lungs still healing. And this is after doing the 10-mile run, because at that time I was down to 198, for those who remember, 198 pounds. And this is when I was able to get back into size 34 pants from 42 on the res. Yes, whereas I was wearing size 42. Here I'm still wearing 34s. So I was at the gym. I had just repped 315, I think 5 or 6 times. Well, my little Mexican homie and this other brother who teaches the football, they were spotting because I like people on the side, not over me. So I got on 5 or 6 reps. So I said, bump it. Let's take it up to 400. I remember I was doing creatine and I pushed 400, 405, I think it was. 400 or 415. I pushed 415 about 2 or 3 times. And so I just wanted to get two reps. So I got one. It was heavy, and I was compound, that was 4 years ago, right? 3.5, 4 years ago. And so I said, let me go for the second one. And so they're standing there, I bring it down, and I'm pushing it up. Right before I log out, I felt like I had nothing left. I said, get it up, get it up. And they're like, you're right there, bro. So I just slammed it back on the thing. I didn't know. And then I went 2 weeks later, and I pushed was it 415? I pushed that like 4 times. And that was the last time that I would lift heavy. Yeah. Playing football, blah, 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 powerlifting in the military. Yeah, I don't need all that compound movement to be strong. Anyway, let's go again and get in here. Social historical perspectives. Based on these results, the original Melungeon settlers, like many other New World colonists, let me repeat that for all you people talking about Abraham Lincoln was on Melungeon. Shut up. Based on these results of the original Melanesian settlers, like many other New World colonists, probably were not primarily Christian. Native Americans, Berbers, and sub-Saharan Africans held and hold religious beliefs on animalistic form that invoke solar, lunar, water, earth, fire, and seasonal deities and traditions. Arab and Turkish descended settlers brought Muslim traditions of a syncretic blend of Sunni and Shia theology. Now, the Romani or Sinti people, Rome, Gypsy, Romeco, and travelers, followed Jewish traditions and a surprising number of parallels with Levitical law, with some influence of Zoroastrianism, the Zoroastrians, that crazy shit. Anyway, excuse me. And elements of fire worship from their sojourn in Mesopotamia, but not the slightest tincture of Hindu or Buddhist beliefs. Despite having migrated from India, Hindustan, and speaking an Indic language, we can go to Appendix D, customs and beliefs of the Roma and Sinti, Iberian and Polish Balkan Jews would have been able to blend their Sephardic and Ashkenazic religious practices. Now, the emerging picture of mixed folk ways is clear. A good overview of the role of Sephardic Jews in the history of modern-day Mercantilism can be gleaned from Sephardic genealogy. Now, in 2002, by Jeffrey Malka, 4648 on those pages, this study observes that Dutch Sephardim and the Netherlands, I'm going to say Neanderthals, Netherlands, were small merchants of shopkeepers. They dealt in tobacco and fish, and we know that because they literally made with carvings in front of all the tobacco shops of us. Anyway, worked as tailors or goldsmiths, physicians, and money changers, and ran grocery stores. But some, such as the Pereira, Barrios, and Pinto families, rose to great wealth. Sephardic merchants dominated the lucrative trade in sugar, tobacco, silk, and precious stones. Wealthy Sephardim were very important both in the funding and running of the Dutch East India and West India companies, a role we shall later show had great significance for the early history of the Dutch colony of New York. Malka further notes that the Sephardim usually traded with their relatives who lived as secret Jews in Spain, and now you know why they made war against us in the South. Portugal and their possessions, e.g., the Canary Islands, Brazil, Florida, Cuba, and Mexico. They used aliases in order to protect their kinsmen from the Inquisition, for example. Listen to this, Samuel Abravanel, Samuel de Sousa, baseball player, Samuel Aboab, Antonio Sanchez de Paz, Joseph Cohen, Geronimo Henriquez, Isaac Franco, Francisco Mendez de Madrios, Isaac Guion, Philip Diaz, Manasseh Ben Israel, Manuel Diaz Ciora, Solomon No, Manuel Rememes de Pina, Joshua Safreri, Thomas Nunez de Pina, Jacob Semak, Antonio Hidalgo Cortisons, Aaron Musafia, Manuel Nunez, Michael Nehemia, Miguel de Castro, and Joshua Nehemias, Antonio Lopez. Arabs, Ashkenaz and African, Mongrel and Mongol. Mark that. For many people will read this and not know that little tidbit. Pretty decent, right? Yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed that read. I was going to read a little Alien World Order, the reptilian plan to divide and conquer the human race, because it seems like it's working pretty goddamn good. chemical lobotomies and everything else that come with it. What's that, DJ? The spiritual thing. So in New York, New Jersey. Yeah. Yo, Tians, you get them up? Yeah. You see Neanderthals in the Netherlands, too. Well, actually, I'm going to share some with y'all. The Neanderthal thing is some made-up shit. It is talking about the Australoids. Specifically, the Negritos. The Negritos de Terra, Negritos New Guinea, Negritos, everywhere that we were at when Atlantis fell. I've always believed Atlantis existed. I've seen too much back in 78, 81, 85 that allude to this effect. And I can't dismiss it being a seller. And the things that I got to see looking through this thing well over 100 miles in one direction and seeing boats. So if you're talking heliocentric and all this other stuff and made up stuff, you either don't understand scriptures or you haven't really done anything. And yes, I still believe I can fly a Cessna. I believe so. I'd be kind of rough though. God dog it. Woo! But you know what I mean. What was that? Yeah, and the what's going on, beloved? They made up the Neanderthal shit from the Netherlands. Colors looks familiar, right? Familiar. Exactly. Well, you know who did? We've already alluded to that. I laid down the person that created the Ku Klux Klan and what it was based off of, and it was through by way of the fake Vatican, because which you know, all those popes are Ashkenaz, Sephardic. There's a reason why they wear them little shits on their head. You know what I'm saying? And nobody wants to accept that reality. Why? It goes against their institutionalization, the narrative painted before them. You dig what I'm saying? I hope y'all take this information if you do videos or chats and you bring this stuff forward. You know what I mean? The Dutch Confederacy, aka the Spanish and Dutch, part of the original Inquisition. Conquistadors or conquistadors, exactly. Nubian, who now look totally different. Ashkenaz. When I tell people that the Arabs really didn't exist, they are a remnant of the people who they actually were. People went crazy. That's since the Palestinians are these Ashkenazi relatives, and they're over there, they've been killing them just for the land. Even West Side, when I says there before Israel, there were several lands that they were looking up to make Israel. A place that never existed. And the last two was Ghana and America. And the Jews were like, hell no. We saw how them niggas, we know how they fight. He sent them. They might not be fighting like they was. The deacons for guns. I mean, come on, guys. Who changed the narrative over and over and over? The goddamn Ashkenazis. Our identity. Negro, black, blah, blah, blah. Of course, who was on the panel and who was beside them besides the sellout West and Jesse and Jackson and Sharpton and all them other worthless Negroes. Surprisingly, they're still alive. They believe they're going to get to go to other lands if they already visit them. You see what I'm saying? Buzz Aldrin, met him 3 times. He used to look at me sideways, Mount Hebron, because we went to the same middle school. And nigga, if he went to the moon, he went different. Because like I said, it's only 73 miles up. People have a hard time accepting that. I remember one time being on a plane and we had to go above 10,000 feet. Nigga, I know I saw the sun in the clouds. I was like, nigga, something ain't right. And because you can look up, and I was like, man, some cloud. And everybody said, oh, we got to close the windows, the chief and all of them. We on this C1, big ass C1. Hey, listen, man. The Hercules. We like, what the fuck, close what? And we in them cargo nets and shit, chilling with them little hard ass, old fashioned tent seats. You know what I'm talking about? God dog, them big ass pallets that we had to strap down with all our gear and cruise boxes and shit. Man, I'll never forget that. I was like, y'all see that shit? Everybody like, and then, oh, gotta bring those down. I was like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? Byzantium of the Holy Roman Empire was seated there as well. Yes, very much so. Evan Smiley, hey, what's going on, beloved? How are you? How are you? Jesuit Mason missions, exactly. The Quran, exactly. All of it. And nobody wants to listen. But I appreciate y'all taking the time. I know it's getting kind of late, especially if you're on the East Coast or whatever. And ToLU'S, okay. I don't know they're paying attention to come over here and check out the lives. But anyway, I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to the read. I hope you enjoyed it. Beloved sisters, my brothers, 2 on the 1. I'm going to see y'all on the AM. Plenty of things to discuss. And then we'll get a read in as usual 2 hours later. And I'm going to the range. Got to. And I broke in that new rifle I had built. Shot it when they were here. Shot it a few more times. But a good 1,000 rounds. And it should be perfecto. All right? Yeah, exactly. Anyway, see y'all on the AM. Thank you for giving me your time.